Miss Mina here, and today we're going to talk about, you know, folks out there who say that you're not a true Sailor Moon follower if you like the Dic or Cloverway Sailor Moon, and where did they get that thought from? I don't know. Now, that would just be the end of the film, but it seems that there are folks out there who believe that. Well, not all of them, but some of them believe it. If you tell them that, if you tell them, some folks, that if you like the Dic and Cloverway English offshoot of Sailor Moon, they will either first go on the belief that you did not see the Viz one or any other one. Now, for some folks, that may have been true. Now, for other folks, it might not be true. But they tend to have this belief going that, that's the wrong world to offshoot from. So we will get folks who will come on this YouTube fairway, not as many as it once was, saying things like, "Oh well, that's their wrong names. Don't call them by this. Don't call them by those borrowed names. Call them by the other borrowed names." And I had someone one time say, "Oh, don't slight my wisdom." As if I'm first off, what you choose to call them is your own business. If you want to call them by the Dawnlandish borrow names, go right ahead. If someone wants to call them by their Latinist, Frenchish, Hellenish, Spanish, or even Farsiest borrow names, then good for them. Alright? This whole "you're sliding my wisdom because you're choosing those borrowed names over other borrowed names" is dumb. Or and then telling them, "Oh, what's the unlikeness between the names?" Well, first off, I don't know why folks make such a big deal about names, but they do. Anyway, this whole belief that you're not a true Sailor Moon follower if you watch the Dic or Cloverway one, or offshooted from that, I don't know where that thought came from. But we will have folks that do believe it. Not some, not all, but some do believe it. Some do go on, some do believe that. And then they bring up everything else that was wrong about the Dic and Cloverway one, as almost if the Viz one is flawless. Well, the Viz one is not flawless. Alright? It might be what some of you folks wanted back in the day, and great for you. Now, where they do get into the big thing on it is the names. That's what they tend to first start guilting and shaming you over. They're like, "Oh, well, don't call her Mina, call her Minako." Well, first off, Mina is a Germish English name. Belongs to both speeches. Minako was just borrowed, was the English Germish name borrowed from English and Germish, I would think, into Dawnlandish, and then someone just thought about putting a KO at the end of the name. Well, what happens here is these folks will get irked, and they'll say, "Oh, don't say Amy or Darian or Serena, Darian, or Amy, or Ray, or Lita, Mina, or Rini. Oh, no, don't say Amara, Michelle, and Tissa. I don't like those borrowed names." And then what they'll do is they'll go through and say, "Oh, why don't you call them by their Dawnlandish borrowed names?" Well, first off, one, this YouTube fairway is offshoot from the Dic and Cloverway work, and two, that's the grounds of it. What you choose to call them is your own business, and there is no law or oversight that goes that you have to call them by this name. Now, some of these Sailor Moon followers out there, they like to make a big thing about names. They do. And they got this belief, though, that if you're, they think those are the wrong names, and they don't want to hear those names anymore. It's like they want everything. It's like they wanted a Dic And Cloverway Sailor Moon to either be forgotten or wish it never been. Or they want to make you feel guilty for liking an offshoot of Sailor Moon that A, they didn't like, or B, they never did. This whole big deal over name thing, I never understand it though. You know, like what's a big deal about who calls what? You know? And they'll say things like, oh, well, they'll say something like, well, that was their first names. That's their true names. Well, yeah, that need be. If this YouTube fairway was offshooting from the Toei and the Viz work, which it's not, it offshoots from the Dic And Cloverway work. And in the Dic And Cloverway, that was the names. You know. So, and that's why we call by those names. That's why my name is Mina in the Dic And Cloverway world, and not Minako. I'm sorry. So if you like this film, then follow me over here at the follow me over here at Sailor Moon for Life. What's the other film we made yesterday over here? Well, with Sailor Jupiter, Lita. Sailor Venus, Mina, and I hope you like this film. Bye.